This show is part of OnePlace, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to our daily roundup. We are diving into the latest breakthroughs in brain science, health, and human behavior to keep you informed on the discoveries shaping our world today. Let's begin.
7 days of meditation can physically rewire your brain.
Astrocytes act as a hidden switch for appetite control.
Consciousness might be a fundamental part of the universe.
Caffeine intake does not inherently disrupt long-term sleep quality.
Caring for aging parents can improve your parenting skills.
Sweet potatoes may help infants sleep through the night.
Barefoot hiking offers a primal connection to the earth.
Social anxiety increases the risk of digital networking addiction.
Starting with brain health. Researchers at UC San Diego have found that just 1 week of intensive meditation can lead to profound, measurable changes in both the brain and body. This wasn't just a bit of relaxation. The study followed participants in a 7-day retreat involving 33 hours of guided meditation. The results showed improved brain efficiency and boosted immune signaling. Perhaps most surprisingly, the participants' blood showed an increase in natural pain relief chemicals. The study suggests that these mental practices can trigger biological pathways that rival the effects of psychedelics, promoting neuron growth and stronger connectivity. It is a fascinating look at how we can fundamentally change how our brains engage with reality through focused mental effort alone.
What makes this study so significant is the systematic measurement of multiple biological systems at once. Dr. Hemal Patel noted that this goes far beyond simple stress relief. By combining various mind-body techniques, the researchers observed a total shift in metabolism and immune function. The fact that these changes were quantifiable in the blood and brain activity provides a scientific bridge to practices that have been used for thousands of years. It suggests that the brain is far more plastic than we often give it credit for, even in a very short time frame. This research, funded by the Inner Science Research Fund, opens the door for using meditation as a legitimate clinical tool for physical health and neurological resilience.
Next up, we have long believed that neurons were the sole masters of our appetite, but a new study from the University of Maryland suggests otherwise. Researchers have discovered that astrocytes, which were previously dismissed as mere support cells, actually play a critical role in telling us when to stop eating. The process is quite intricate. It begins with specialized cells called tanocytes that monitor glucose levels in the brain's fluid. When you eat and glucose rises, these tanocytes release lactate. This lactate then signals the astrocytes, which in turn activate the specific neurons responsible for the feeling of fullness. This hidden pathway in the hypothalamus could be the key to understanding why some people struggle with overeating or metabolic disorders.
This discovery really shifts the paradigm of neuroscience. For decades, the focus has been almost entirely on neuronal circuits, but this research highlights the active participation of the brain's non-neuronal architecture. Professor Ricardo Araneda pointed out that astrocytes are not just background players, they are essential components of the communication circuits that regulate our energy intake. By identifying this specific signaling chain from glucose to tanocytes to astrocytes, scientists might be able to develop more targeted treatments for obesity. Instead of just trying to suppress hunger through neurons, we might find ways to enhance the natural stop signal by supporting astrocyte function. It is a promising new frontier for eating disorder research and metabolic health interventions.
Now let's shift to the very nature of consciousness is being called into question by renowned neuroscientist Christoph Koch. At a recent symposium, Koch challenged the traditional materialist view that the brain simply creates consciousness as a byproduct of physical processes. He argues that despite our massive leaps in neuroscience, we still cannot explain the hard problem of how subjective experience actually arises from matter. Koch points to gaps in our understanding, such as near-death experiences and terminal lucidity, where people show sudden mental clarity right before death, despite severe brain damage. These phenomena don't fit the current model, leading him to suggest that consciousness might be a fundamental feature of the universe itself, rather than something the brain manufactures from scratch.
This perspective leans toward older philosophical ideas like panpsychism, but with a modern scientific twist. Cox supports the integrated information theory, which posits that any system with a high enough level of integrated information possesses some form of subjective experience. This would mean consciousness is woven into the fabric of reality, much like mass or charge in physics. It is a bold stance for a leading figure at the Allen Institute for Brain Science to take, as it moves away from pure reductionism. If consciousness is indeed fundamental, it changes how we view our connection to the world and how we study the mind. It suggests that we might need a new framework that combines neuroscience with the deeper mysteries of physics.
Moving on, for everyone worried about their morning coffee, a new genetic study from the University of Bristol offers some relief. Using a method called Mendelian randomization, researchers looked at DNA markers that influence how much caffeine we consume and how fast we break it down. They found that while caffeine definitely boosts daytime alertness and reduces napping, it does not appear to cause long-term insomnia or poor sleep quality on its own. This is a big deal because previous studies relied on people's memories of their coffee habits, which are often inaccurate. By looking at genes, which are assigned at birth and not influenced by lifestyle, the team could isolate the direct biological effects of caffeine from other habits like smoking or high stress.
The study suggests that if you are having trouble sleeping at night, the culprit might not be the caffeine itself, but rather the lifestyle choices that often go along with it. For instance, people who drink a lot of coffee might also lead high-stress lives or have irregular schedules. Furthermore, the researchers noted a reverse causation effect. People who sleep poorly are more likely to reach for caffeine the next day to stay awake. This creates a misleading correlation in observational studies. By using genetic data, the researchers were able to show that a predisposition for high caffeine intake doesn't lead to a genetic predisposition for insomnia. It is a reassuring finding for coffee lovers, suggesting that moderate consumption is likely not the root cause of chronic sleep issues.
Next, the sandwich generation refers to those caring for both children and aging parents, and while it is undeniably stressful, it can also offer unexpected benefits. One caregiver shared how moving her family in with her parents actually made her a better parent. She found that caring for her father with dementia taught her the value of presence over words. In a world where parents are often told to constantly talk to their children for brain development, she realized that sitting in silence with her father was just as meaningful. This translated to her relationship with her 12-year-old daughter, who is more internal. By learning to just be with her father, she became less of a hovering, anxious parent and more attuned to her children's need for quiet connection.
This experience highlights how caregiving across generations can reduce the perfectionism that often plagues modern parenting. When you are managing orthopedic appointments for a parent and school schedules for kids, you naturally become less delusional about what can be accomplished in a day. This drop in expectations can actually lead to a more relaxed household. The author also noted that her children gained daily access to their grandparents, creating a multi-generational bond that is often missing in modern society. It is a powerful reminder that while the sandwich role is demanding, the overlapping insights between elder care and child care can foster emotional growth. It teaches patience, the importance of simple presence, and a more realistic, grounded approach to family life that benefits everyone involved.
Now, too, in New Zealand, researchers have been looking into whether a local staple, the kumara or sweet potato, can help babies sleep. The study focused on infants aged 6 to 10 months and found that those fed standard kumara experienced less wakefulness during the night. Kumara is a common first food for infants in New Zealand and is known for its prebiotic effects, which stimulate beneficial gut bacteria. The theory is that a healthy gut microbiome produces chemicals that help regulate sleep hormones. Interestingly, when the researchers tried adding extra resistant starch from green bananas to the kumara, the results were mixed. While those infants had a slight increase in daytime sleep, they actually showed a trend toward more problematic sleep at night, compared to the standard group.
This research is particularly interesting because it highlights the cultural and historical significance of the kumara to the Maori people, who brought the crop to New Zealand centuries ago. Today, it remains a nutritional powerhouse in the modern diet. The study, published in Nutritional Neuroscience, involved nearly 300 healthy infants and looked at caregiver-reported sleep patterns. It suggests that natural whole foods like the sweet potato might be more effective for infant rest than modified versions with added starches. While the exact mechanism is still being explored, the link between gut health and sleep is becoming increasingly clear. For parents looking for a natural way to support their baby's sleep, incorporating standard sweet potatoes into the early feeding phase seems like a simple and culturally rich option.
Then we have barefoot hiking is gaining traction as a way to reconnect with nature in a more primal way. In South Korea, this is already a mainstream activity, with trails specifically designed for barefoot walking, complete with clay paths and foot washing stations. One researcher, Jen Blades, described the experience of walking through damp clay as enlivening, noting how your dominant sense quickly shifts to the texture of the ground beneath your feet. In Australia, enthusiasts like Dale Knoppers are taking this even further, tackling rugged trails for hours at a time. Knoppers claims that his feet have adapted to the rough terrain, becoming soft and supple rather than calloused. He even organizes group hikes to share the experience of slowing down and feeling every rock and root along the path.
While the idea of earthing or grounding appeals to many, podiatrists do offer some words of caution. Dr. George Murley notes that while barefoot walking can feel liberating and may strengthen certain foot muscles, it also carries risks of injury from sharp objects or uneven surfaces. However, for proponents like Knoppers, the mental benefits of feeling primal and connected to the earth outweigh the risks. He even brings his 5-year-old son along on gentler outings. The movement is about more than just exercise. It is a sensory experience that forces a slower pace and a heightened awareness of the environment. Whether it is a manicured clay path in Seoul or a rocky trail in Perth, barefoot hiking offers a unique way to engage with the outdoors.
Finally, a new study in the journal Addictive Behaviors has found a strong link between social anxiety and digital addiction in young adults. For those in the emerging adulthood stage, the pressure to form identities and navigate relationships is intense. Those who fear negative evaluation in person often turn to social media as a safe haven. The digital world allows them to browse content passively without the immediate pressure of a face-to-face conversation. However, this coping mechanism can backfire. The study found that the habit of social comparison, constantly measuring one's own life against the curated highlights of others, is a major driver of psychological dependence. What starts as a way to soothe anxiety can quickly turn into an obsession that interferes with work, school, and mental well-being.
The architecture of social media is almost perfectly designed to exploit these vulnerabilities. For a socially anxious person, the internet offers a controlled environment, but it also creates a digital safety net that makes returning to the real world even more daunting. This reliance can lead to a cycle where the individual becomes increasingly preoccupied with their feeds, experiencing an intense urge to log on throughout the day. While social media obsession isn't yet classified as a formal mental illness, psychologists are seeing clear addictive patterns that mirror substance use disorders. Understanding that social comparison is the bridge between anxiety and addiction is a crucial step. It suggests that helping young adults manage how they perceive others online could be key to preventing these digital dependencies from taking hold.
That wraps up our look at today's top stories. Thank you for joining us for this daily briefing on the latest in science and health. We will see you back here tomorrow.